After losing his job, he was left heartbroken by his wife and best friend discover his incredible journey of resilience. Jake Thompson's world had crumbled in a single, gut-wrenching day. The factory where he had poured his sweat and soul for nearly 2 decades was shutting its doors for good. "It's not just business," the manager had said, voice shaking as he delivered the news. "It's about lives disrupted." The moment those words sank in, Jake felt a knot in his stomach, his heart racing wildly. How could this happen? For years, he'd walked through the factory gates at dawn, pride swelling in his chest. He was a breadwinner, a provider not just for his loving wife Liz and their 2 kids, but for his community. Friends and family depended on him. And now, his responsibility, the very thing that solidified his identity, was gone. At home, the silence was deafening. Liz tried her best to comfort him, but Jake found it impossible to shake the feeling of inadequacy. Days turned into weeks, each one heavier than the last. He searched for jobs, but rejection letters piled up like autumn leaves. With every no, he could feel himself slipping further away. The laughter that once echoed through their home was replaced by a brittle tension. Jake noticed less and less of Liz, the warmth in her eyes replaced by worry. "Jake," she'd say softly, "it's going to be okay." But he was drowning in shame, and the more she reached out, the more he pushed her away. They grew distant, the space between them widening like an insurmountable chasm. Then there was Mike. He and Jake had been inseparable since childhood, but now Jake's telephone calls went unanswered. Mike was Liz's closest friend too, and though he knew it wasn't Mike's fault, he could feel a resentful fire burning in his gut. What was happening while he struggled alone? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Months later, a local charity event sparked promises of solidarity among the townsfolk, and Jake's teenage daughter pushed him to attend. He felt like a ghost among the living, but he went for her sake. The buzzing crowd was filled with familiar faces, laughter echoing. Yet, his heart felt leaden as he spotted Liz and Mike across the room, their heads bent close together, their smiles a blade to his chest. The air thickened, anticipation heavy. He could almost hear the whispers in the back of his mind, the betrayals, the loneliness mounting towards a breaking point. In that hall full of hope, he approached them, sadness gripping tight, the past whispering his name like a call to arms. The moment was closing in, and Jake knew he had to confront the hurt, the sense of betrayal that had festered within him. The question loomed large: could he reclaim what was lost? Would he dare to dig deep enough to come back from this dark place? His heart raced as he took a deep breath, ready to reveal his truth. What awaited him in this tense confrontation could change everything. Jake stepped closer, each footfall echoing like a hammer striking steel. The laughter around him faded, leaving just the pounding of his heart and the noise of his own thoughts. All the pain, the sense of betrayal, it all swirled like a storm in his chest. Could he really face them? "Liz," he finally said, the name hanging heavy in the air. She turned, surprise flickering across her features. Mike shifted slightly, the easygoing grin faltering at the edges. Jake noticed the way they looked together, too comfortable, too close. It twisted in his gut. But he couldn't let that frozenness seep into his voice. "Can we talk?" Liz exchanged uncertain glances with Mike, then stepped forward. "Of course, Jake." Her voice was gentle, but her eyes betrayed a mix of apprehension and sorrow. The world around them faded as he led her away from the crowd. They found a quieter corner, illuminated by soft fairy lights strung above. The brightness felt like a cruel joke against the dark emotions churning within him. "Jake," she hesitated, her voice barely a whisper. "I know things have been hard, don't," he interrupted, the sharpness of his tone surprising even himself. "You say it's hard, but you have no idea what it feels like to be one phone call away from everything you've known." I've lost my job, my pride, and maybe even you. Jake watched the tension tighten her features, as if he de-struck her with an invisible hand. You think this is easy for me? I've watched you slip away into silence. I've felt your walls up against me. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. But what I feel most is your connection to Mike. I see how close you two are, and I can't help but wonder if you're looking to him for support because I've failed you. Her shocked expression showed she hadn't expected him to voice the betrayal. It's not like that, Jake. In that moment, Jake felt as if the air had been punched from his lungs. What had he done? Had he just pushed her further away? Then what is it? He asked, his voice softer, more vulnerable than he had intended. Because it sure looks like you're leaning on him. I thought I was helping, Liz exclaimed, desperation lacing her tone. We're both in pain, and yes, Mike was there when you weren't. He was my friend too. Ouch! Her words stung. But within that hurt was a flicker of clarity. Maybe it wasn't just about blame. They were both reeling from loss, just on different fronts. What do we do now? He finally asked, almost as a whisper. The question hung in the air, heavy with possibilities. Liz looked away, her anguish clear. I don't know, Jake. I wish I did. Caught in that moment of uncertainty, Jake realized they were at a crossroads. One path could lead to healing, a chance for them to rebuild. But it required honesty, vulnerability, and an unyielding commitment to fighting for their family. And yet, a shadow of doubt lingered. Was Mike truly just a friend? As if reading his mind, Liz met his gaze. I never meant for you to feel this way. I love you, but can we truly find our way back? Jake's heart raced as silence enveloped them, heavy with unspoken fears and hopes. The future felt fragile and uncertain. Could he forge ahead, or was he standing on the edge of losing everything for good? Before he could respond, a commotion from the crowd echoed through the hall. Jake's heart sank as he recognized voices. Mike was approaching, looking for Liz. In that moment, the weight of his next decision bore down on him. Would he confront Mike, or let the night unravel the fragile thread of their connection further? I need you to be honest with me, he said, his voice steadier, reminding himself of the resolve he needed. But would he find the strength to face whatever awaited him? The night was far from over, and his journey was just beginning. The tension in the air felt like a live wire, buzzing and crackling between Jake and Liz. He could almost hear the crowd behind them, the laughter, the chatter, all a world away now. In this moment, there was only Liz, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears and an earnest need for understanding that made his heart ache. What do you want me to say, Jake? Liz asked, her voice trembling slightly. Do you want me to pretend everything's okay? It's not I don't need you to pretend, he cut in, the frustration boiling in his chest. I just need you to be real. If there's something between you and Mike, I deserve to know. Her expression darkened, her lips pressing into a thin line. There isn't anything like that between us. I promise you, you're the one I love. Yet something in her tone left him unconvinced. Love felt fragile just then, like a beautiful piece of glass that could shatter with a single misstep. Then what's next for us? Jake pressed, desperation creeping into his voice. Are we just stuck here waiting for the other shoe to drop? Liz looked down, fiddling with the hem of her shirt, her silence screaming louder than words. I need time. I need to figure myself out, Jake. Time, he echoed, the word tasting bitter. How much time was fair? Time had already stretched between them, creating chasms difficult to cross. Look, I just think maybe we both need space, she finally said, avoiding his gaze as if it could hide her from the truth. Space? The word rolled off his tongue like an insult. He could feel his heart pounding, irritation boiling to the surface. Is that what you really want? More distance? I don't know. She shot back, exasperation lighting up her features. I just know that everything feels so complicated. I don't want to hurt you, but I can't keep pretending that everything's okay either. Jake's breathing turned ragged. The whirling chaos of emotions, hurt, frustration, confusion, they tumbled together and created a storm inside him. So what? We just drift apart? I'm trying to be honest, she shouted, her voice piercing through the clamor of the party. People nearby glanced over, heads turning, curiosity palpable in the air. Mike appeared at the edge of their conversation, hesitating as he noticed their heated exchange. For a second, Jake envisioned the fury erupting inside him, but he quickly quelled it. He couldn't let this moment spiral into violence. Not yet. Not when they were hanging by a thread. Jake, Mike said, stepping forward cautiously. Liz, I think we should know, Jake interrupted, his voice low but firm. Don't. This is between Liz and me. Liz shook her head, frustration coloring her cheeks. Jake, please just tell me what's going on. Are you really leaning on him for support? Are you looking at Mike through different eyes now? I can't answer that right now, she said, her voice breaking just slightly. I wish I could. There's so much I feel, but it's all too much. Jake felt a pang of betrayal twist deeper. He had come here searching for truth, but here they were, teetering on the edge of more lies and half-formed answers. The words that had felt so powerful moments ago now vanished into uncertainty, leaving only confusion in their wake. The crowd's laughter faded back into focus, vibrant and alive, while his world felt entirely still. He rubbed his temples as the weight of it all settled heavily on his shoulders. Tell me if you want this to end, he managed, the words tasting bitter in his mouth. If you're done fighting for us, I'll step back, Liz. Just don't leave me in the dark. In the silence that followed, the crackle of energy shifted. It felt like they were both holding their breath, waiting for the inevitable answer that could change everything. Just then, Liz took a shaky step backward. Her face, usually so luminous, was clouded in doubt. I can't right now, she whispered. Beneath the bright lights, they stood as strangers, hearts pounding with unspoken fears. Jake could feel the floor beneath him shudder as he moved, as if shifting into a new reality neither of them was sure they wanted to face. And then, as he glanced back at Mike, the flicker of uncertainty morphed into something darker. Would this moment push them all to the brink, or could it forge a path that led back to each other? Was love worth the fight, or was this the end of the journey? Jake watched Liz step back, her eyes filled with uncertainty, and he felt as though the ground beneath him had crumbled away. The vibrant emotions that had once connected them now felt like a frayed rope, barely holding on to what had been theirs. Why don't we just talk about this later? Liz suggested, her voice quiet but resolute. I need to think. Think? The word came out harsher than he meant it. Think about what? How to walk away from us. She flinched, hurt flashing across her features. He hated that he was doing this, but anger and confusion swirled around him, demanding release. I don't want to lose you, Liz. But I can't keep wondering if you're going to choose him over me. I'm not, she started, but he raised a hand to stop her. Not right now, okay? Just give me a moment to breathe. He felt pulled in so many directions, each conflicting emotion warring for dominance. Love, anger, fear, desperation, they all flooded through him, making him dizzy. Shards of laughter from the party echoed in the background, distant and cruel. How could they laugh? Didn't they see the drama unfolding before them? Didn't they realize hearts were breaking just a few feet away? Mike shifted uncomfortably, glancing between them, and Jake felt another wave of annoyance bubbling up. Why are you even here? He shot at Mike. Do you really think this is the time? Jake, Liz implored quietly, her eyes darting between the two men. Yes, just trying to help? He sneered, the bitterness only adding to the chasm opening under his feet. If it wasn't for him, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation at all. Stop. Liz's voice raised above the murmurs of the crowd. Please. This isn't about Mike. This is about us. I need to sort through my feelings without the noise of everyone else. She turned away, wrapping her arms around herself like a shield. Jake noticed the way she held back, like she was scared to embrace the hurt or the love still lingering between them. I thought we were a team, he whispered, the words barely escaping his lips. Why does it feel like you're turning your back on me? The way she turned her head, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears, felt like a dagger twisting into him. I'm not trying to hurt you, Jake. I just don't know what I want right now. His heart sank, the weight of her indecision pressing down on him like a boulder. And that's it? Isn't it? You don't know if you want me or him. I want you, she insisted, stepping closer, desperation etched on her face. But I'm scared. scared of making the wrong choice. Scared of causing you pain, and I don't want that. Her hands were trembling as she reached out to him, but he pulled back, feeling the distance between them grow even wider. The love they shared once felt so solid, grounded in trust and laughter, and now it was slippery, like trying to hold onto water. Maybe we should take a break, Liz suggested softly, as if the words could be delicately placed in the air and land without impact. Break? The word felt like a steel wall slamming shut between them. You really think that's the answer? I don't know. Her voice cracked, bringing forth the tears she had been holding back. All I know is that I can't keep pretending I'm not confused. I need time to clear my head. Jake felt his chest tighten, helplessness washing over him. Time was a cruel mistress. They didn't have the luxury to wait, not when emotions ran deep and the stakes felt so high. I don't want to be just a thought you keep on the back burner, he said finally, the vulnerability igniting a fire in his own eyes. I need you to choose to want me. Not when it's convenient, but now. Before this all becomes a distant memory. A silence lingered, heavy like the humid night air around them. And then, just like that, Liz turned and walked deeper into the crowd, leaving him anchored in place, heart racing and imploding with uncertainty. Where did that leave them? Would she come back? And more importantly, if she didn't, would he ever go back to the way things were? Jake felt the world spin around him, the muffled laughter from the party swirling in the air like ghosts haunting the edges of his mind. He wanted to scream, to run after her, to shake her and make her see what they had built together. But instead, he stood frozen, an island of turmoil in a sea of cheerful ignorance. As Liz's figure began to fade in the throng, he felt an ache start deep in his chest. It was that familiar pang, the one that meant love was tangled with loss. He had invested so much into their relationship, poured every ounce of himself into it, only to find it teetering on the brink of collapse. The laughter around him felt like mocking whispers, taunting him as he wrestled with the demons inside. He pulled his phone from his pocket, staring at the screen as if it held the answers to his questions. Should he text her? Call her? No, that would only push her further away. He took a shaky breath, looking around, hoping to find solace in a familiar face. But all he saw were smiles, drinks held high, and hearts untouched by the storm that raged within him. Hey man. Mike's hesitant voice broke through his haze, and Jake clenched his jaw. You okay? Do I look okay? Jake snapped, the edge in his voice sharper than he intended. He sensed Mike step back, the discomfort radiating off him. Just checking in. I thought maybe Mike trailed off, uncertainty surrounding him like a shroud. Thought maybe what? Jake challenged, his emotions spilling out in a way he couldn't control. That you could be her knight in shining armor while I'm stuck here feeling like garbage? Honestly, I was trying to help, Mike said, though there was a warning in his tone. But if you're angry, maybe I should back off. Just know I'm here if you need to talk. Jake watched Mike retreat a few steps, and suddenly all of this felt so heavy. Anger simmered in his veins, but under that rage, he recognized hurt. This was not just about Liz and Mike. It was about him facing his own insecurities, fears that bubbled just beneath the surface. What if she doesn't want to come back? He muttered to himself, letting the words tumble out. What if she chooses him? Hearing the thought out loud felt like swallowing a rock. The weight of it lodged in his throat, as unbearable as the truth. He had managed to hold it together until now, but the fear of being unwanted and discarded was too much to bear. In the distance, he spotted Liz standing at the edge of the crowd, her hair catching the light like a halo. She was talking with a friend, but there was a glaze over her eyes that spoke of inner turmoil. He yearned to reach out, to comfort her, to make her understand how much she meant to him. Instead, he took a step back, feeling the chasm that separated them widening with every second. The laughter, the music, the tempests of joy seemed to swell around him as if mocking his pain. He wanted to scream for someone to see him, to see them. But nobody looked. Nobody cared. A sudden idea shot through him like a bolt of lightning. What if he showed her how serious this was? What if he called her out? A challenge. It could either bring her back or push her further away, but at least it would be something. Jake, he whispered to himself, determination sharpening his resolve. You've got to fight for this. As he turned toward Liz, ready to drown out the noise of the world around him, he felt a surge of hope mixed with fear. Would she listen to him? Would she come back to him? But in that moment, another thought struck him. What if, in his fight, he lost even more than he bargained for? With a quick inhale, he took his first step toward her. The question burned in his mind. Would he lose her for good? Jake pushed through the crowd, each step heavy with dread and determination. The vibrant colors of the party felt like a stark contrast to the dark cloud hanging over him. He fought to keep his gaze locked on Liz, who remained blissfully unaware of his struggle. Her laughter echoed in his ears, a cruel reminder of a connection slipping through his fingers. She turned slightly, catching his eye for a moment. Time seemed to freeze, both of them suspended in a bubble that excluded the revelry surrounding them. He saw a flicker of recognition in her eyes, quickly masked by the haze of others engulfing her. Something inside him stirred. Was it hope? Or desperation? Hey! Steeling himself, he shouted above the chatter, his voice thick and raw. Liz! The music and laughter faded as she turned fully toward him, her face a mix of surprise and confusion. The world around them dimmed, leaving only the two of them suspended in that moment. Jake felt his heart spike, the weight of a million unspoken words threatening to spill out. Can we talk? He pleaded, taking a step forward. Liz hesitated, glancing at her friend beside her. It was a fleeting moment, but Jake saw it. She was torn. The weight of a decision hung heavily between them, and the air crackled with unspoken tension. Now? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Yes, please. He reached out, desperate for any sign that she would step toward him, away from the noise and chaos. She nodded slowly, and Jake felt a flood of relief wash over him. Okay, let us go. They retreated to a quieter corner, where the music softened to a distant thrum. In that space, it felt as if the world had narrowed down to just the two of them. The pulsating lights faded, and he caught a glimpse of the Liz he knew, full of life, passion, and warmth. Jake, she started, but he interrupted, the floodgates of his emotions forcing their way out. I can't lose you, Liz. I don't want to. His words tumbled out, urgent and desperate. What we have, it means everything to me. I can't just stand here and watch you walk away. Her eyes softened a fraction, but there was still sadness there. I didn't mean to hurt you. I need time to figure things out. Figure what out? He felt the anger bubbling back up inside, mingling with the fear. You're pushing me away, and I don't understand why. Is it Mike? Is that why you're talking to him? She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her silence spoke volumes. Jake felt the ground shift beneath him, uncertainty clawing at his heart. It was as if the walls of his world were crumbling down, and all he could do was stand there, vulnerable and raw. Jake, it's complicated. Liz's voice shook slightly, and that sent his heart racing. She ran a hand through her hair, a familiar nervous habit he recognized instantly. I don't know if I want the same things anymore. So what? You're giving up on us? Each word carried the weight of his fear, of losing everything he ever dreamed of. He stepped closer, wanting to reach out but not daring to invade her fragile space. No, she almost shouted, her voice breaking like glass. It's not like that at all. I just feel so lost. Seeing her on the brink of tears twisted something deep within him. Jake swallowed hard, trying to keep his own emotions steady. I'm here. You don't have to go through this alone. We can figure it out together. As her gaze searched his face, something shifted in the air. Hope, still flickering rather than extinguished. But as fast as it kindled, shadows of doubt took hold. He could feel the tension between them tightening, a string ready to snap. Can we just give it some time? Please? Her words hung in the air, heavy with unresolved tension. Just time? Or a chance? Jake's chest felt tight as he considered the darkness looming ahead. What if time alone wasn't enough? The thought lingered, gnawing at him. With every second they spent apart, every second she hesitated, would he lose her for good? Questions circled in his mind as he searched her eyes for an answer. But all he found was uncertainty, a reflection of his own. Would he muster the strength to face whatever came next? Or would the fight for love become a fight for his own heart? Jake watched as Liz's eyes drifted away, searching for an escape from the conversation. The way she shifted her weight from one foot to the other felt like a physical manifestation of the uncertainty hanging in the air between them. She opened her mouth again as if to speak, but no words came out. The silence was deafening. Time? How much time, Liz? His voice cracked, betraying the vulnerability he was feeling. It was a desperate question. He needed a measure, something to hold on to, but all he was met with was a faint shake of her head. I don't know. I feel like I'm standing on the edge of something, and I can't fall into it without knowing what it is. Her voice trembled, and her eyes were bright with unshed tears. If I jump, I might lose everything. Sometimes you have to take the leap to find out if it's worth it. His heart raced as he felt the urgency in his words, the fear of losing her almost suffocating. I'm right here. Why can't we just fight for it? A distant laugh from the party pierced the moment, jolting them both back to reality. It was a reminder of the world outside vibrant, alive, and moving on without them. Jake could see the shadows flickering across Liz's face, light and dark playing over her features, mirroring the chaos swirling inside her. I feel like I'm trapped, Jake, she admitted softly, her voice so small he nearly didn't catch it. I thought I wanted us to work, but now it all feels so heavy. Like I can't breathe. He took a breath, pushing down the hurt that twisted in his stomach. What if we just talk? We don't have to solve everything now. Just lay it all out. Please. Liz met his gaze for a flicker of a heartbeat, her expression softening. You don't understand how hard this is for me. I don't want to hurt you, I care about you too much. I know you do, he murmured, stepping in closer. And maybe that's why we're fighting so hard. I still believe in us. Can't you at least give us that? Something in her demeanor shifted, just slightly. Her resolve wavered, a weak flicker of hope that gave him the courage to keep pushing. I'm scared, Jake, she whispered, her voice cracking. What if it doesn't get better? Then at least we tried, he replied, each word a promise he desperately wanted to keep. But don't let fear rob us of the chance to find out. I'll always be here for you. Tears pooled in her eyes as she met his gaze, searching him for answers he didn't have. But he was willing to fight for it, willing to hold the space between them as long as it took. The moment stretched, a fragile tender space where hope hung in the balance. Time drifted away as they stood there, breaths mingling, the world outside forgotten. Okay, she finally whispered, the edges of her resolve starting to fray. Let us talk then. I'll try. But please, can we do it together? No more hiding. Jake let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. Together, he echoed, a smile breaking through the heartache, igniting a spark. But just as he felt their connection whipping back to life, laughter erupted nearby, cutting through their fragile moment like a knife. He turned to see Mike, her friend, the very person who had been hanging around her too much lately. There he was, leaning against the wall, a self-satisfied smirk plastered across his face. The atmosphere shifted, ice forming where warmth had just begun to generate. Liz's gaze flickered to Mike, her body tensing. I need to go talk to him, she said quietly, as if pulled by an invisible thread. Wait. The panic rose in his throat, his heart stuttering painfully. Liz, please don't, but she was already walking away, leaving him standing alone in fading music and unfulfilled promises. With hope still flickering in his chest, Jake clenched his fists, ready to get back to the fight. Did he have what it took to face Mike as well? Time was slipping through his fingers again, and he needed more than just time. He needed answers. What would happen when he confronted Mike about Liz? Jake's heart pounded as he watched Liz walk away. Each step she took felt like a weight pulling him under. His gaze locked onto Mike, who stood there with that insufferable smirk, too smug, too relaxed. It was like a slap in the face. How could Mike approach Liz when things were so fragile? He could almost see the conversation unfolding in real time, the casual banter, the laughter, the intimacy that Jake feared would sweep her away if he didn't act fast. With a deep breath to steady himself, Jake moved across the room, pushing through the crowd as their chatter dipped and swelled like waves crashing against a shore. Each laugh and cheer felt like a reminder of everything that was slipping from his grasp. Mike's head turned when Jake approached, eyes narrowing slightly, but his grin only widening. "Hey, Jake. Join the party, man. Things are getting interesting." He gestured to Liz, who was standing just out of reach, looking caught between laughter and guarded hesitation. "Can we talk?" Jake asked, his voice steadying despite the jump in his heart. "About what?" Mike shrugged, feigning ignorance. "About Liz." The name hung in the air like a stone, heavy and loaded. Mike raised an eyebrow, casual but with a subtle hint of annoyance. "What's there to talk about? She's just a friend, right?" "That's not how it looks to me," Jake replied, his temper flaring. "You've been around her a lot lately. A little too much. What do you want me to do? She's fun. And besides, maybe you should be thought about that before things got so heavy with her." Jake felt heat rush to his face. "How dare he say that? This isn't about blame, Mike. It's about being respectful." "Respectful?" Mike echoed with a laugh, leaning back against a pillar with pitiless ease. "You both are tangled up in some dramatic mess. I'm just here trying to lighten things up." A rising anger bubbled in Jake. By flirting with her? By putting ideas in her head about leaving? Mike stepped forward, his expression shifting from amusement to irritation. "You think you're the only one who cares about her? You don't know what she's been through." Jake's chest tightened. "So what's your excuse for being in her space when she's vulnerable?" "I get it, man. You think you can just waltz in and be the fun guy. But I love her. She's in a confusing place, and she needs me right now." The two stood locked in tense silence, the world around them fading back into oblivion. Just beyond them, Jake could see Liz glancing over, her face revealing concern, her expression watching both of them with uncertain hope. It felt like it was all hanging by a thread. How could he let Mike be the one in her ear? "Step back," Mike said finally, crossing his arms. "You think you can force her to pick? She's a grown woman. If you're going to fight for her, at least make it worth her while." Jake swallowed hard. "You think this is a game? I'm not just going to step aside." The challenge hung between them, thick as fog. In that moment, in front of partygoers who didn't know of the emotional storm, Jake understood it was more than just about Liz. It was about proving he was worthy of standing beside her in that uncertain space where hope and fear collided. Jake took a step closer, staring Mike down. "Then let us settle this the right way. If you really care about her, if you respect her, prove it. Let us talk, come on, just the three of us. I'm not letting her slip away without a fight." Mike smirked again, his eyes glinting with mischief. "You really think she'll choose you after this? Maybe she'll see what's real." Jake's heart raced, adrenaline pumping. But as Mike chuckled, Liz stepped forward, her face illuminated with a mix of resolve and anxiety. "Guys," she began, and Jake hesitated, knowing her voice could shift everything. Would this confrontation bring clarity, or push her even further away? Jake stood uncertain, wishing desperately for a glimpse of what lay ahead, while a dark cloud of doubt cast its shadow over hope. What would Liz decide when the truth came crashing down? "Guys." Liz's voice trembled, breaking the mounting tension between Jake and Mike. Jake turned toward her, his heart racing. Her eyes darted between them, filled with a blend of confusion and heartbreak. "This isn't what I wanted," she continued, her voice firm despite the shakiness. "I came here to celebrate, to unwind, not to dive into this." Mike crossed his arms, leaning back slightly like he was observing a show. "You hear that, Jake? Maybe it's time to back off." "No," Jake shot back, his voice rising higher than he intended. "This is about being honest. Liz deserves the truth, not some charade." He caught Liz's gaze, willing her to understand. "I'm not trying to control you, I want to fight for who we are. For us." Liz looked at him, her expression softening. I'm so confused right now. I thought we were okay. Figuring things out together." The warmth in her eyes tightened Jake's chest. "We can be. I want to be there for you, Liz. But it feels like every time I turn around, you're with Mike. He's not just a friend." Mike chuckled, but it didn't reach his eyes. She's a free spirit, Jake. She's not shackled to your expectations. Stop it, Liz shouted, surprising them both. The crowd around them fell silent, eyes now drawn to the three of them. You're both making this worse. I don't want to choose between you two. Jake's heart sank at her words, the pit in his stomach growing heavier. You don't have to choose if you see things clearly. Maybe she's right, Mike interjected, the smugness fading from his posture. Maybe all this fighting is just pushing her away more. Liz, the last thing I want is to stress you out. I'm only trying to be your friend. Jake felt a flicker of irritation. This isn't friendship, Mike. You're trying to swoop in while I'm fighting for her. Guys, please. Liz's voice cracked, and it shattered the remnants of tension like glass. I just need a moment. Can you both just back off? I don't want to be in the middle right now. She turned away from them, running a hand through her hair in frustration. Jake's heart ached as he watched her retreat. He never wanted this chaos. He only wanted to protect her. See what you've done? Mike's tone was sharper now. You're pushing her away. Shut up, Mike, Jake snapped, anger flaring again. This is not just about you being the cool guy. It's about Liz. You wouldn't understand. Mike scoffed, raising his chin. Oh, I understand far more than you think. People need space to breathe, Jake. Are you really going to smother her now? The tension crackled in the air, and Jake looked over at Liz's retreating figure, his resolve faltering. What if he was indeed making things worse? What if the fight he thought he was winning was only driving her into Mike's arms? Liz stopped, her back to them, shoulders tense. I need time to think, okay? She called over her shoulder, and Jake felt the chill of dread settle in his gut. Liz, wait. He called, but she didn't turn back. Both Jake and Mike stood opposite each other, the fight visibly fading from their faces. This isn't what I wanted either, Mike admitted, his voice quieter now. I just want her to be happy. I thought I could help her, Jake mused, feeling the weight of disappointment settle in. But as he looked back, Liz was already disappearing into the crowd. A wave of panic washed over him. If she was lost in this party, what would happen next? The party continued around them, noise and laughter filling the space. It felt hollow to Jake, an empty echo of what should have been a celebration. Do you think? Mike started but trailed off, seemingly unsure of what to say next. No, Jake spat. I can't lose her like this. Not now. That dread was palpable as he thought about the wrenching uncertainty of what was next. When would he see Liz again? Only time will tell, Mike muttered, a hint of sincerity in his tone. Jake squeezed his eyes shut, willing himself to find a way forward. But the nagging question remained. What if, this time was the very thing Liz needed, and Jake couldn't afford to give it? The path stretched before him, uncertain and intimidating. Would the next steps heal their fractures or widen the chasm between them? He had to find her, and fast, before she slipped completely away. Where would he go from here? Jake stood at the edge of the party, the world spinning around him, voices muffled, laughter harsh against the weight in his heart. Liz had walked away, leaving behind a chasm of doubt and unspoken words. He could feel the punch of fear tight in his throat. What if this was it? He faced the factory closing, the humiliation of job loss, the piercing distance growing between him and Liz, but this a fracture in the most important part of his world now that was terrifying. What was left of them? In that moment, something stirred inside him. He realized he didn't want to just react. He wanted to take charge. He cleared his throat, knuckles white as he gripped the edge of a nearby table. This wasn't just about confronting Mike or proving his worth. This was about fighting for Liz, for their love, for the family they had built together. He took a step forward, muscles tensed as adrenaline surged. I need to find her, he murmured, determination fueling each step he took through the throng of partying friends, familiar faces blurred by the urgency pressing against his chest. As he pushed through the crowd, he spotted Liz's golden hair in the distance, illuminated by the soft glow of the lights outside the venue. The air outside was cooling, gentle against the heat radiating from his racing heart. She leaned against a lamppost, her arms cradling herself, looking lost in thought. Liz, he called out, urgency threading through his voice. Her head snapped up, surprise flooding her features. Jake. He approached her slowly, afraid that if he moved too quickly, this moment might shatter. I need to talk to you. Really talk. She nodded, the tension uncoiling slightly, and he stepped closer. Please let me in, he urged, his voice softening. I can't let us drift apart like this. I mean, we're fighting for something beautiful, aren't we? Her gaze faltered, and something flickered in her eyes, a hint of the warmth he used to know. I don't want to hurt you, Jake. I never wanted to push you away. I know, he replied, gently taking her hands into his. I've been so caught up in my own hurt that I forgot we're in this together. I didn't realize how lonely you felt with all of this. Tears filled her eyes, and he knew she was on the edge of breaking down. I feel so lost, Jake. I don't know what to do anymore. In that moment, he felt a surge of compassion. We can find that together. Just let me help you. Please. His grip tightened around her hands, grounding them both. A breath hitched in her throat, and she swallowed down the weight of uncertainty. I'm scared, Jake. What if things never go back to the way they were? Maybe they won't, he said, the honesty cutting through the air. But we can create something new. Something better. I promise you this, if we stand together, there's no storm we can't weather. A flicker of hope ignited in her eyes, and he could almost see the gears turning, the realization that they could rebuild starting to cement between them. What if you're right? She whispered, a hint of vulnerability breaking through her defenses. Then we will choose each other, every day. We'll make mistakes, we'll stumble. But as long as we want it, as long as we're in it together, I truly believe we can have a beautiful future. Tears streamed down her cheeks, and in that vulnerable moment, she leaned in, letting their foreheads touch, breathing in the closeness that had once defined them. Okay, she said finally, her voice steadier. Let us try together. Jake smiled, his heart swelling with love, relief pushing away the weight of doubt. They had survived the threats of betrayal and despair, and now they would rise again. You and me, he reaffirmed, pulling her into a hug, the warmth surrounding them like an embrace of hope. As they stood enveloped in each other's embrace, the vibrant chaos of the party continued behind them, fading into a distant hum. It no longer mattered. They had each other. Moments passed, and as they pulled away, Jake felt a renewed strength course through him. They didn't just face the unknown, they faced it together. Just then, as if sensing the shift, Mike stepped out of the venue, his expression shifting from surprise to something softer. I see you guys are talking, he said, a hint of wariness in his tone. Mike, Jake said, feeling the need to address the tension. We've decided to figure things out together. Liz nodded, her gaze steady but resolute. I need to focus on what I want, and right now, Jake is my priority. Jake saw a flicker of disappointment in Mike's eyes, but there was respect too. I respect that, he said slowly. I just wanted what was best for you, Liz. She smiled warmly, a sign of understanding. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate your friendship. But I need to be true to what matters most. With that, Liz and Jake turned back toward each other, ready to start again stronger, more connected, more determined than before. As they walked away, hand in hand into the night, both knew there would be struggles ahead. But they had each other. Together, they could conquer it all. And in that moment, love felt like freedom. Now, for everyone reading, this is your chance to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support truly matters. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. And share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to show your support, so don't wait not even one more second to share. Remember, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.